What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, everybody. I know you guys have seen this news right now when it comes to China, I guess trying to threaten or hold some leverage over Hollywood, saying that if they don't get rid of these Trump tariffs, we're not going to allow any U.S. films into China. We're going to ban all films coming into China unless you guys apply some pressure to Trump to drop these tariffs. It sounds funny just coming out of my mouth saying it just like that. Look, China, you have no power here, okay? Not here. Maybe in some other areas, all right? But when it comes to U.S. films, when it comes to Hollywood, applying any kind of pressure to Trump, man, Trump probably laughing his ass off. Like, what? Do y'all not realize that I hate Hollywood's guts and Hollywood hates my guts? Why in the world would I do anything to lift a finger to help them fools? Oh, no, Hollywood's going to be just fine. Let all of them Hollywood actors and writers and directors that be out there talking all kind of shit, let them deal with some of this, all right? Let them deal with it. Yeah, I ain't lifting a finger to help these fools. Man, are you kidding me, man? All the shit that Hollywood talks about Trump, you think that Hollywood could apply any kind of pressure? Hey, Trump, get rid of these tariffs or they're not going to let our films go into China. Trump's going to be like, hey, it is what it is, Hey, I'm sorry to hear that. Better luck next time. Trump ain't tripping. That's it. That's all, man. Trump's not worried about it. That's not any pressure at all. As a matter of fact, that's more incentive to lay it on even thicker. Oh, let's up the tariffs a little bit more. Yeah, make damn sure that you don't Hollywood is like, yo, man, Trump just gonna hang us out to dry when it comes to China. Now, the reality is, China's not even that big of a player like they used to be. Hollywood used to send all of those films over to China, and then China would send back a lot of money. That's not really the case anymore. A lot of the movies that we make nowadays, especially the last 2 or 3 years, they don't really play in China like they used to. It's not like the big money, and I'm going to show you in a minute how that was looking. But, yeah, there's no pressure to apply here, China. At least not with the films, all right? Maybe in other areas, all right? I don't know. But when it comes to movies, nah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work on multiple reasons. Another reason that I find kind of interesting is that Hollywood has been bending the knee to China for I don't know how long. Yeah, this is on thatparkplace.com. Shout out to Marvin Montanaro. He said China threatens to ban U.S. Hollywood movies in explosive retaliation to Trump tariffs, despite years of studio pandering. Yeah, the studios have been pandering, bending the knee. Shit, they ain't just bending the knee to China. They would bend over and grab their ankles to China. They were letting China just kind of run the studio. Hey, you know what? We don't like this particular scene or this particular line of dialogue, or we don't like what y'all said about this, that, and the third. We ain't letting the movie come into China. And then Hollywood would be like, oh, shit, well, all right, man, let's go ahead and just scrub that piece out. All right? Let's take all of this stuff out because it bothers China. All right? Fuck artistic direction or artistic vision or any of the writers and everybody that worked hard on the movie from an American standpoint. We going to scrub that out and then it'll play in China. China will let it come in once we edit the movie. And it's like, why are we pandering to China? Why don't y'all pander to Americans like that? They don't even pander to Americans. Americans come out and say, yo, we don't want this, that in the movies. Yeah, fuck y'all. China says, oh my God. Oh, okay, let's go ahead and do whatever China wants us to do. Nah, see? So I'm not even mad at China doing this. It's like, good. That's what the studios get. Good job, studios, okay? Congratulations, you played yourself. Because the moment hey, you know what? We could use these Hollywood studios for some leverage in our little trade back and forth with Trump. The moment they had an opportunity, fuck all of this shit and the pandering and everything that y'all did for them. Nope, we throwing y'all asses right up under the bus. Done. All right, no Hollywood movies coming through. Yeah, because, see, China's not even really messing with America like that no more. You guys remember I covered this article when Captain America Brave New World was out, when Nazar 2 was hitting, all right? Captain America must die in China. Like Disney and Marvel are bending over backwards, doing all of this extra work to try to make things palatable for the Chinese audiences. And here's what they think about you. Nah, this shit gotta die. We all about Nazar 2. We want to push our movies. And we don't make our movies for a global audience. We make it for Chinese audiences. And that's what happened. And look, this thing ended up becoming the biggest animated movie in the history of the world. Like, why don't y'all do the same for the American audience? Hollywood, why don't y'all do that for the American audience? instead of forgetting about us. They ain't fucking with y'all no more. China has had it. They are done with America. Like, look at some of the stuff they were saying. I don't care if Nezha 2 can survive overseas, but Captain America 4 must die in China. That's a popular slogan that they had on social media. They were pushing that, right? It's not Captain America that's dying, but America that's dying. Another person said, in reality, the U.S. does not have superheroes, and the U.S. is not a peace-loving, peace-defending beacon for humanity. You see how they talking about us? They talking about America like we ain't shit. They say, nah, man, we don't even want Captain America over here, all right? America's dying. Nah, we ain't messing with America no more. So, like, why in the hell are we out here bending the knee, bending over backwards, grabbing our ankles, bending over and grabbing our ankles for this country? When this is how they talk about this country and how they talk about the movies coming over to their country. And here's Disney and Hollywood and all these other cats bouncing all off the walls trying to make things perfect for China. Fuck China. I'm serious. I'm not here to bend over backwards to y'all. If y'all don't want our movies the way that they are, kick rocks. You know, we good. We good. We'll be just fine without you. And Alan Ng, he had talked about this situation as well. Mainstream media won't tell you that China is no longer a major player in the theatrical box office. This past weekend, China only brought in 15 million to Minecraft, 7 million in total to Mufasa, and 3% of the total box office for Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2. China has not been a player in the last 2 years. Yeah, they really haven't. Every time you look at a movie that's over in China, it don't really do that well. It does okay numbers, you know, but I mean, China's a country of over 1 billion people. And it's like, oh yeah, here's a $15 million for Minecraft. Like, that ain't enough to me to be bending over backwards, jumping through all of these hoops, you know, ending tariffs. Like, if we trying to get something going with a tariff, that's not enough of an incentive, at least in my book, for us to do anything. It's like, nah, we good, man. We good. You guys go ahead and do whatever you got to do, China. But Hollywood movies, nah, that's not a playing card that you guys got in your deck. All right. Oh, we won't let movies in China. All right, whatever. You know, we gonna be just fine. Yeah, and then Alan Ng, he had brought this up as well, just for shits and giggles. What would have happened if China banned U.S. films in 24? Answer, China has no leverage. Yeah, let's blow this up and take a look at it. All right, check it out. You can see by Alan Ng's chart, Inside Out 2, right, from last year, had a global total of 1.6, almost basically, let's call it $1.7 billion globally. China brought in $47 million of that $1.7 billion. $47 million, all right, which is only 3% of the total box office. And then if you look at the studio take, because China gives the United States or gives Hollywood less than almost any other country. They only give 25% of whatever they bring into the box office. The other 75% stays in China. And so it's like, all right, out of all of this money, out of all of this $1.7 billion, we got $11 million from China. $11 million. Like, come on, bro. Come on, man. This ain't enough. This ain't getting it. Look at Deadpool and Wolverine. Same thing. $14 million out of $1.3 billion. That's all we got. Oh, okay. 14 million. And that's it. That's it. That's all. All right. Moana 2 got $1 million. Like, if you're scrubbing your content, like, hey, man, we got to make it palatable for China. You know, we got to censor it. We got to edit it. We got to scrub it all the way out, polish it up perfectly for China. And then all you coming away with is like $1 million, maybe 2 million, you know, 4 million. Look, Wicked didn't do shit. $285,000 in China. You know, Mufasa, you know, now Godzilla, Kong, you know, maybe this will be a little bit more of a thing for these cats to think about. It's like, all right, man, it made $571 million and it brought in 43 million of that in China. All right. So, yeah, I can maybe understand that. And look, Hollywood doesn't want to lose any of this money. All right. Any of this 11 million, 14 million. I'm pretty sure Hollywood would love to have that. But this ain't enough, in my opinion. Like, if this was like maybe creeping into like the 50 million, $60 million range, where the studios are like, yo, man, we losing like 60 million. It's like, okay, I can see that being some sort of leverage. And look, man, at the end of the day, Hollywood is going to Hollywood and they're not going to care. Yeah, you guys will remember this when Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, China had banned that movie before it dropped. Until Marvel went through and scrubbed it up and cleaned it up and polished it up perfectly for China. And then finally they said, all right, man, now we're going to lift the Marvel movie ban. All right, now we'll let it come in, and I think Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, they also lifted the ban on that back then. So yeah, when this movie was out, you know, Marvel had to do that same dance of jumping through the hoops and making sure that this thing was perfectly palatable for China. But see, look, check it out. How did it do, all right? So yeah, Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, all right, we see what it made, $476 million worldwide. All right, how much do you think it brought home from China? Yeah, a grand total of $39 million. And then, of course, if you chop that into quarters, all right, you chop this into quarters because, remember, they only get 25%. Yeah, you talking about if thing got somewhere in the neighborhood of $9 to $10 million. Why? For all of that work that y'all did, you know, damaging your artistic integrity. What artistic integrity? We're here to make money. That's how Marvel looks at it. So they'll do whatever they want to do so they can please China, you know, except, oh, well, yeah, all we going to get is like 39 million out of it. It's not worth it, in my opinion. Yeah, back to this That Park Place article. Like, look, this part just tells you everything you need to know. Hollywood's willing compromises. For more than a decade, Hollywood has reshaped itself to suit Chinese sensibilities. Films like Iron Man 3 and Transformers Age of Extinction featured additional scenes for Chinese audiences. Scripts were combed over for politically risky material. Even maps, flags, and throwaway lines were altered to pass the Chinese censor board. Why? Why? Because, see, look, they care about the money. And they're not interested in, hey, look, this is what our artist said. This is what our director said. This is what it is. We want to make sure that we can get these movies into China so that we can please the Chinese audience, you know, and instead of actually just saying, yo, we're here to make movies for America. And if other countries want to rock with it, great. But if not, that's okay, too. We'll be just fine. We'll make our money. We'll make money for Americans. And we're not going to be worried about whatever it is China's talking about. And the thing about it is, you think about like stuff like anime and how it's really spreading Japanese culture into America, which is a good thing. I actually think Japan has a pretty dope culture, but it's given an eye open into like a bigger world, into the Japanese culture, which is a good thing. You know, we have a lot in common with Japan. As a matter of fact, that's how a lot of people looked at America. America spread its culture through its movies. You know, back in the 70s and the 80s, people saw, hey, man, look how they living in America, man. Yo, America looks like a great place. And we didn't have to go and preach nothing. We didn't have to go out there and politicize nothing. All we had to do was just go, here, boom, here's our movies. And people loved it. And people went and rocked with American values through our movies, through how we presented ourselves, our culture, our society. And that's what we should be doing instead of trying to cater to somebody else. If you don't like it, that's fine. Deuces, don't watch the movie. I'm good with it. I'm not trying to cater to the Chinese audience and compromise American values. You know, so to me, it's just like, it's a no-brainer. That's fine. You don't want our movies over there in China, all right? You don't want a movie in there? Yep, no problem, bro. You got it. Keep them out. And look, this is the last piece of leverage that we're ever going to listen to. I'll say that much. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about this, man. Do you think we should bend the knee to China and just do what China wants us to do, whatever? Regardless of the other stuff going on with the tariffs, I know this ain't the deal breaker, but it's just kind of funny that they would even throw this in there. All right, like, why y'all throwing this in there? This seems like the last thing that anybody's really going to care about. Oh, we're not going to allow your movies to come in here. So what? I don't care. I don't care. I don't think Hollywood even cares that much. Now, because they're Trump crazy, they might give a damn about it. But other than that, they ain't gonna trip. You know, it's just too funny, man. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.